We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facing on the Washington Commanders in Tampa Bay. This is your Week 1 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Also hit the like button. Let's start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they are the home team. They are coming off a very successful season. They won their division yet again, and they also won a playoff game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And they were just a couple plays away from defeating the Detroit Lions, and they were the road team. When I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's pretty simple what they have to do in this game, what they have to do for the rest of the season. They have to find a consistent way to get the run game going. And you hope that the new addition of Graham Barton on the offensive line can help with that. Graham Barton was drafted in the first round coming over from Duke. Their run game has been terrible since Ryan Jensen went down, and Ryan Jensen just retired. When I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line, there's still a lot of question marks there, but they're better equipped for this upcoming season than they were last season. Tristan Wirfs is one of the best tackles in the game, and you have a consistent quarterback in Baker Mayfield. He turned his career completely around. Now, there's still a lot of question marks around Baker Mayfield. Can he do this long term with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Well, to get a clear-cut answer of that, you're going to have to go out there and give him a consistent run game. We know that the wide receivers with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're great. Chris Godwin is a very good number 2 wide receiver. On most teams in the NFL, he would be a number 1. Mike Evans is one of the best wide receivers in the game. He is severely underrated. He's had over 1,000 receiving yards every single season in his career. Yes, he got to play with Tom Brady, but he also had to play with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston as well. They're all gunslinging quarterbacks, but he's going to find a way to go out there and put up good production no matter who the quarterback is. And I have a lot of confidence that this team can go out there and they can test out the secondary of the Washington Commanders. They have a lot of young players on the back end. And last season, their secondary was no good. Now, when I talk about the Washington Commanders, they have a lot of changing parts there with players and also with coaching as well. But I'll get more into that later into the video. But you have to go out there and test out their secondary because their front seven is pretty good. You have 2 defensive tackles that could go out there and change this game, and Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. And this is going to be a tough test for Graham, because both of those guys, they can eat up double teams and they can push the pocket. If you do not give Baker Mayfield a lot of time, you're not going to be able to be successful in this game. And we did get to see Baker Mayfield struggle last season when the run game wasn't as effective and when he had a lot of pressure in his face. But I trust those wide receivers to go out there and make some big time plays. And it's more than just Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You also have Cade Otton at the tight end position, who is a very good, reliable tight end and had a successful season last season as well. Trey Palmer is questionable for this game, but you have Jalen at the third receiving position. He had a strong preseason. He could come in and he could take a lot of those single coverage matchups because you know they're going to try to put Mike Evans in double coverage. They're going to try to go out there and they're going to try to take Chris Godwin away. So Cade Otton and Jalen, they have to go out there and take advantage of those mismatch opportunities when they come by. You also have Rashard White, who is a very good running back, can catch the football at the backfield. You also have Bucky Irving as well, who is a rookie coming from Oregon. One thing that does bother me is that this is Liam Cohen's first time calling plays with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last season, you had Dave Canales be your offensive coordinator. Dave Canales is now the head coach with the Carolina Panthers, and he did a pretty good job of calling plays with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in my opinion. We'll see if Liam can come over and have the same success that Dave Canales had. Hell, he may even be a better offensive play caller for the Buccaneers long term if he can figure out this run game situation. And he comes from the Sean McVay tree, so we know that those guys like to have a zone rushing system. It'll just come down to that. So the keys to victory on the offensive end is for Baker Mayfield to take care of the football, take the easy reads, try to take advantage of those mismatch opportunities in the secondary. I still think that the Washington Commanders have a lot of problems there, especially guarding guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But the biggest thing is to take care of Baker Mayfield and run the football. As far as the defense with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have a lot of changing parts here. You no longer have Devin White, but you have KJ Britt. I think that KJ Britt is going to fit like a glove in this system underneath Todd Bowles. The one thing with Todd Bowles, he loves to blitz the quarterback. Well, you have a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. And last season, the Washington Commanders, their offensive line was rated as one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Sam Howell was the most sacked and most pressured quarterback in the NFL last season. A lot of that is because of play calling and because he would hold on to the football for too long. You could take advantage of that. You could go out there and blitz Jaden Daniels a lot, but I believe that you have Vita Vea, who is one of the best defensive tackles in the game. You also have Yaya Diaby, who led the team in sacks last season. Those guys can go out there, they could push the pocket, and they could take over this game. Kalijah Kancey is dealing with a calf injury. He's questionable to play in this game. If he's able to play, they're going to be able to go back there, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on Jaden Daniels. The problem this team is going to have is bringing him down. He is a very fast quarterback. He has the ability to go out there and take over a game like how Lamar Jackson can with his legs. I compare him to RG3 coming out of college. But the thing is this, he's a better passer than RG3 was coming out of Baylor. So you do want to watch out for that. You do have a number one wide receiver on the Washington Commanders and Terry McLaurin. Try to take him away. Try to force guys like Luke McCaffrey and Zach Ertz to beat you across the middle of the field. That's one thing that you have to take note of, because Terry McLaurin, just like Mike Evans, has had over 1,000 yards receiving every single season in his career. And the players in the secondary, they're not the worst players to have. Jamel Dean, I like him as a cornerback. He's solid. Zion McCollum, this is a player that Todd Bowles is very high on. The safeties as well. You have Antoine Winfield. He was one of the best safeties last season in the NFL. And since he's gotten drafted, he's been one of the most consistent safeties as well. The problem with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, Todd Bowles will get too cute. He'll call a blitz, and the next thing you know, you have a wide receiver going deep down the field, going for 50 to 60 yards. And that usually happens when you blitz as much as Todd Bowles does. So I would back off of the blitzing and take extra looks on Terry McLaurin. But at the same time, you have to take this drive by drive with Jaden Daniels. It's not much film on this kid playing at the pro level. He did play some preseason snaps. You could say what he did in college, but that doesn't always translate over. So just be careful with the wide receivers of the Washington Commanders and watch out for Jaden Daniels and his legs in this matchup. But let's talk about the Washington Commanders. The Commanders can make this a dogfight. I like what they did this offseason. You have a brand new head coach in Dan Quinn. Ron Rivera was terrible last season. Dan Quinn's going to have to come over. He's going to try to fix this entire defense. You traded Montez Sweat to the Chicago Bears for a second-round pick. They also went out there and they traded Chase Young as well to the San Francisco 49ers for a third-round pick. You were able to retain Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, two very good defensive tackles. They're going to have to generate a lot of pressure in this game. You have to put pressure on Baker Mayfield. Most of the time when Baker Mayfield was successful last season, they would work off of screen plays with Dave Canales, and it would set up a lot of time for him inside the pocket. With most quarterbacks in the NFL, you give them enough time, they will cook you in the pocket. The thing is this. The Washington Commanders secondary last season was awful. It was so bad to where Jack Del Rio got fired at the halfway point in the season. The secondary has to step up in this game. You have a rookie in Mike at the cornerback position. I am worried about him. It depends on who do you have him guarding. I don't see him guarding Mike Evans and Chris Godwin just yet. I think that responsibility will go to a guy like a Benjamin St. Juste. I think that he will go out there and he will guard Mike Evans one-on-one with some safety help over the top from a guy like Jeremy Chin. You also have Michael Davis as well. The secondary is the weakest point with their defense. Their front seven is very good. This is why they're going to have to go out there and depend a lot on their pass rush and Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. You also brought over Dorian Armstrong as well, who should have a very good season this season with the Washington Commanders. Part of that is because he's never played beside two beasts of defensive tackles before. Not to take anything away from Chase Young and Montez Sweat. They benefited a lot from playing alongside Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. And Chase Young wasn't able to stay healthy. Dorrance Armstrong should be able to go out there and give you a lot of production in terms of sacking the quarterback and bringing down the running back before he can cross the line of scrimmage. You also have Frankie Louvu as well, who is a do-it-all linebacker. Was a solid linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. He can make plays in space. He's a very good pass coverage linebacker, and he can tackle as well. Just a solid linebacker to have. He has to go out there and have a big game against a guy like a Rashard White or Bucky Irving coming out of the backfield. Also be on the lookout for Cade Otton across the middle of the field. Bobby Wagner is a very good player as well. He is older. He's not the same Bobby Wagner that he was 4 to 5 years ago, but he's still a very good tackler. And he was a very good player with the Seattle Seahawks last season. And he knows this system to the T. He's going to have the green dot on his helmet. He's going to be taking exclusive play calls from Dan Quinn and telling guys where to go on the field, because he got to play underneath Dan Quinn when he was a former defensive coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks many years ago. This is a very impactful signing. It went under the radar, but I think he's going to fit this system like a glove. You also have Dante Fowler as well. Good run stopper, can get to the quarterback. In order for them to slow down the offense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to have to go back there and put pressure on Baker Mayfield, because I don't trust their secondary to go out there and just handle their business on their own, because they are young and they're still developing as well. And Dan Quinn, he's going to fix this thing long term. Let's talk about the offensive side of things. This is where things get a bit interesting. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, they set Sam Howell up for failure. For one, besides Terry McLaurin, wide receivers could not get open. Eric Bieniemy was a terrible offensive coordinator. I don't know why you're calling plays 20 to 25 yards deep down the field when the offensive line was putrid. Sam Howell did have a lot of accuracy issues. He'll hold on to the football for too long, but terrible play calling and a horrible offensive line play hurt that kid. You have a brand new offensive play caller in Cliff Kingsbury. He was originally supposed to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders. They could not come down to a dollar amount. Now he's with the Washington Commanders. The last time we saw Cliff Kingsbury be in the NFL, he was not successful. He was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and he was the main offensive play caller. Hopefully he has grown as a play caller. A lot of people say, hey, when a coach is terrible at calling plays and being a head coach, they should not get another opportunity. I don't think that's the case. When you're a head coach and a main offensive play caller, you're putting too much stress on yourself. Cliff Kingsbury had to take care of an entire team. He had to sit in on quarterback meetings, running back meetings, offensive meetings, defensive meetings, special team meetings. Now he only has to worry about one side of the football, and that's the offensive side. You let Dan Quinn, who is a proven head coach and has been to the Super Bowl before, let him deal with those things. This is the best spot right now with Cliff Kingsbury. With that being said, you have to take care of Jaden Daniels. If a blitz is coming, do not call curl plays. Do not call a bunch of slant plays to where guys are just running into each other, like how the Philadelphia Eagles did in the playoff game with Jalen Hurts. Give this kid some bailout options to the running back, to guys like Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. And don't be shy. You can run the offense through the running backs. Just because you drafted Jaden Daniels in the first round doesn't mean that you have to go out there and throw the football over 35 times in this game. That should not be the case. Usually rookie quarterbacks struggle in their first couple of weeks to first couple of months. Some quarterbacks are different than others, but this kid did not get the opportunity to sit down behind Marcus Mariota, who is out for this game. Jaden Daniels is a veteran coming out of college, but the NFL is different from college. So just slow down the game. Let him use his legs, let him get comfortable, and just let him dump down the football if they're throwing a lot of blitzes his way. He just can't panic. And Cliff Kingsbury cannot panic either. It was too many times when he was the main offensive play caller with the Arizona Cardinals, teams would blitz Kyler Murray, and he had no options. He had no one to throw the football to because everyone was going deep down the field. So just give this kid a couple bailout options. Terry McLaurin should easily win in one-on-one opportunities in those matchups going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary. I look at Luke McCaffrey. He can be the number 2 wide receiver. You no longer have Curtis Samuel. You no longer have Jahan Dotson. You traded Jahan Dotson to the Philadelphia Eagles. So the biggest thing now is who is going to be the number 2 option. Is it going to be Noah Brown? Is it going to be Luke McCaffrey? We'll see. But I like the wide receiving core of the Washington Commanders long term. Just right now in week 1, it's not the best core to have around a guy like Jaden Daniels because you just have Terry McLaurin, which opens up the opportunity for this. Austin Eckler can catch the football at the backfield. Let him be that receiving back that he once was with the Los Angeles Chargers, and let him be that with this team. He never was able to be a counterpart to anyone until now with the Chargers. He was their main running back. Now you have Brian Robinson Jr. He can do the dirty work when you need 2 to 3 yards. Run the football with him in short yardage situations and get Austin Eckler into the game plan. You could do something similar to how they did early on last season. Use a 2-back system. As far as the offensive line, guys have to step up. Point blank, period. From tackle to tackle, they cannot have a repeat of what happened last season. They have to protect Jaden Daniels for the entire season, because if you don't, you run risk of him possibly getting injured, just like how you ran that risk last season with Sam Howell. I do think better coaching will help out the Washington Commanders long term, but I don't think that they have the right weapons equipped to go into Tampa Bay and to defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You only have one true proven wide receiver, and Terry McLaurin. Noah Brown's not a bad wide receiver, but he's not a true number 2. And I'm still concerned about this offensive line. I think that Jaden Daniels, long term, he will be their franchise quarterback, but they're figuring a lot of things out right now. You're going against a veteran squad of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a veteran head coach just like Dan Quinn. But Todd Bowles has been here over the last couple of years, and he was a former defensive coordinator before Bruce Arians retired and he became the head coach. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game 24-14. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Washington Commanders? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.